down to a cellular level, we are organized. And I just believe that that's how we are created to live. If we go back to Genesis, the very first thing that God does is he brings order to the universe. This is your clutter. And you have to decide, where is this particular item going to live? And if you don't love it enough to give it a permanent home, then can you let go of it? Unless you know God and you're running your home with him at the center, you're never going to have that peace that transcends human understanding.
Happy New Year and welcome back to the Catholic Woman Podcast. I'm your host, Marie Hansen, and I am so excited to welcome you to 2026, our new 2026 season. And today's episode's a great one to jump into the new year with, to kind of declutter our lives in multiple ways to just get a fresh start in 2026. But before we dive into the episode, I'd love to remind you guys, we are on YouTube. If you have listened to the show on audio for years and years and years, I would love if you could jump over to YouTube and give us a subscribe to help bump the show over there and help us reach a whole new audience of Catholic women on YouTube. That would be amazing. Also, we now have a Substack, which is, I didn't know what Substack was until a few weeks ago, and I was like, we are joining this. So we are on Substack now if you would like to catch ad-free episodes on Substack. Otherwise, I also will be posting lots of different articles and reflections to just kind of further our mission of helping Catholic women navigate the modern world. It'll be like blog format, kind of. That's kind of how Substack works if you've never joined it. So I'll leave the link for that in the show notes, but I'm very excited to just try out Substack this year in 2026 and see how that goes. So join us over on Substack. Check the link in the show notes for that. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see this adorable cardigan. Love it. It is the coziest thing. We're recording this right before Christmas. Obviously, if this is coming out in the new year, we're not going to be recording over Christmas and New Year. But this cardigan is so cozy, and it's from the Catholic Dress Co., which is just a gorgeous little online shop for classy, feminine women who want modest clothing. So go check them out at catholicdressco.com. All right, you guys. So today we are going to be talking all about decluttering with Gina Morton. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Gina is a professional declutter coach and podcast host of the top 2% globally ranked podcast, Pruning to Prosper. We all have a calling in our lives, but so often moms are drowning in laundry, clutter, debt, and that what to make for dinner pit in their stomach, and she can't hear the voice of God. It's Gina's desire to help Catholic moms run their homes smoothly so they have more space to hear and do what God is calling them to do. She helps women prune away the earthly barriers to prosper and the woman God is calling them to be. Gina is a Catholic wife and mom of 4 living children and 1 deceased child. She and her family reside in the Lehigh, is that how I say it? Valley of Pennsylvania. Okay. Thank you. I'm like, I'm not from the East Coast. So Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania. Thank you for clarifying that. Gina, I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thanks for having me, Marie. I'm excited to talk about this with you.
Me too. I am personally a really big fan of minimalism and decluttering, and it's just changed my life in so many positive ways that I'm very excited to bring on the show to hopefully help some more women today. So before we dive in, can you give us a little bit of your background? How did you kind of get into the decluttering world?
So I've always loved tidying, and my favorite toy as a child was my dollhouse, and I would literally empty it out all the time and refill it with the furniture positioned in different ways. I love to decorate.
I love that.
I probably should have been a design person, but I didn't really know about that industry when I was going off to college. So I've just always loved being organized and tidy. And when I had children, I stayed home with them. So when my youngest one was going off to kindergarten, I thought, you know what, let me try to make a go of this, because I would help my friends and they would try to pay me. And I would be like, no. I just like to do it. And then I thought, you know what, let me try this. So that was January of 2020 when I got my LLC. So it wasn't a great time to start a business, but I also got calls right away and from moms that were now home all day with their kids, or, women just home, working from home now, maybe with a spouse that's home. So everyone's lives changed dramatically within, a few days. And unfortunately, I was like, I can't do this job right now. I have to do my own kids. I have to help them. But at
Hmm.
least I knew that there was going to be a market for this. And so I started in-home decluttering, and then I decided to start the podcast. And I just got this little voice that said, I think it should go Catholic. And my in-home decluttering business, I never really talked about my faith, but you can get to a certain point with decluttering, and I still felt like there was something missing. And if I
Hmm.
saw a cross in the family home or something like that, I would say, do you mind if we bring God into this conversation? And it really does help you get over the hurdles of letting go of stuff or even bringing stuff in. And that's why I decided to make the podcast Catholic, because I just felt like I can make your home beautiful. But unless you know God and you're running your home with Him at the center, you're never going to have that peace that transcends human understanding. So that's why the podcast is Catholic. I no longer am doing in-home decluttering, so I'm just doing the one-to-one Zoom virtual
Okay.
decluttering. So it's really been fun, and I've met the nicest women, as I'm sure you have too, with this podcast. So it's fun being able to do it virtually, so I can really give people the attention that they deserve wherever they're calling in from.
I love that. So, something that piqued my interest is you said you made your podcast Catholic. So, decluttering, there's so much out there about decluttering and minimalism and practical tips, but I rarely see anything about doing it from a Christian perspective. And we had talked about this before we started recording, how I think there's a balance between getting rid of things and having a simplified, peaceful life while also not going so minimalist that we lose the beauty, because, the true, the good, and the beautiful point us to God. And there is an important part of us that looks for beauty in things. And when your home is so simplified, like I'm sure you're familiar with the minimalists. If people aren't, go look up the minimalists. They were kind of one of the first people to pioneer the whole
Yes.
minimalist movement, but their home is basically like nothing, like it's like a chair and a table, and like I feel like that's pretty much it. So if you go look at that, there's nothing there, that then almost loses the beauty that points us to God. So where is the balance, and how do you bring Jesus and Christ and Catholicism in, like, specifically into your decluttering process?
So I think the first question every morning is, what are we going to do today, God? Holy Spirit, direct my day. What are we going to do? And I am not a minimalist at all. If anything, you could probably call me a maximalist because I'm a big thrifter, and I love to go to estate sales, and I love decorating. That's my thing. I love to do. However, when I'm in a season of life where I am busier, one of the first things to go is kind of the beauty. So I love fresh flowers. One of the things I love to do is after I clean my kitchen and I bring home the groceries and all that kind of stuff, I love to create a beautiful centerpiece or have fresh flowers. But you can always tell, if you know me really well, if I'm in a season of just kind of overwhelm, because that's the first thing that goes. So, and every woman has her own level of what she can handle.
Hmm.
So some people, they need a minimalist, clean slate, no decor. That's not my personal style. And that's really not who I've ever worked with either.
Hmm.
Usually people have so much stuff. They're just trying to run their home efficiently. So that's kind of our big picture, is what is God calling you to do today, this week, this season of life, maybe for the next 2 years? And how can we make your home run so that you can say yes to God? And I think, and so I help people declutter all areas of their lives, even their finances, because if you have so much student loan debt that, but God's calling you to do seminary or be a missionary, but you can't because you're straddled with so much debt, then that's you saying, no, God, I'm sorry. I have this worldly thing, this earthly thing that's stopping me from you. So that's what we do. We declutter all that stuff that's standing in the way from you being able to say yes to God. We just finished up on my podcast through Advent. We did a series of practicing hospitality, because that's one of the things I hear people say, is that they would love to have people over and they're just embarrassed of their home, or, insert whatever insecurity they might have about that. So that's a great goal. We can work together and say, what are the very practical things that you need to do so that you feel comfortable having people over. That usually does not mean we need to be decluttering the entire house, the attic, and the basement. It usually means we just need to have a cute entranceway, maybe a place for their coat, and maybe a little area that's clean enough and comfortable enough that you can serve some coffee or have the other kids come over and play, or just have a girls' night, like I'm in a book club, and have women over and socialize. And I think that's one of the things that we all crave is
Mm-hmm.
community. And that's one of the things I've really learned from not just the in-person decluttering, but my podcast is that women come. I do a freebie every month on Zoom, and so many women come just for the community. They're like, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to declutter today. I'm not going to do it. I'm just here because I love to meet new women. And so I'm like, okay, so that's what they're craving.
Yeah.
So that's really where I think the minimalism, it's really what is right for you. And that's what I
Mm-hmm.
help you work on. And you might get to a certain point decluttering and you think, okay, my home is still not running as efficiently as I'd like it to. And then you go back and you declutter again. But I don't want it to be traumatic. I don't want you to be frozen with inability to make a decision. So we do quickly and easily first. And then you kind of build that muscle of decluttering and you can go back and do a little bit of the harder decisions as you go on. But if you're keeping in mind your goal of what you would love for your home, I've worked with a family before that they wanted to get a dog. And so we had to clean the house to the point that there was nothing on the floor
Yeah.
so that they could get a dog, right? So like there's all sorts of great and wonderful goals and they're unique to each woman.
You know how sometimes a single image can stop you, soften you, almost open a window in your heart? Hannah Briley, owner of Mangio Arts, believes that's no accident because it's through our hearts that we encounter beauty, and beauty is the doorway to God, a doorway that invites us into conversion time and time again. That's why the art we place in our home matters. We all need those small daily encounters with Christ, glimpses of Him woven right into the rhythm of our everyday life. From beautiful images of Our Lady, visual reflections on Christ and the saints, to scenes that reflect holiness of everyday life, Hannah Briley pours prayer and intentionality into each art piece created. But she also knows that beauty is personal, which is why Mangio Arts offers custom commissions as well, such as family portraits, pet portraits, house paintings, custom saint devotions, and so much more. Know a couple who would love their wedding photo transformed into one-of-a-kind art? Or a family moving to a new home who wants to capture the memories of a place they leave behind? Mangio Arts can capture those moments for you in a beautiful, irreplaceable work of art. Whether in wood burning, watercolor, or charcoal, each piece is handcrafted to be cherished for years to come. If you're longing to surround your family with art that nourishes the soul, shop Mangio Arts store on Etsy and use the code WOMANPODCAST15 for 15% off your order. You can also support Hannah by following her on social media at Mangio Arts. That's MANGIO Arts, where you can find additional links for commission requests and exclusive access to deals and upcoming events through her monthly newsletter. She looks forward to sharing her artwork with you, and she hopes she can bring unique beauty into your home. If you're a woman of faith who wrestles with worry, overwhelm, racing thoughts, or the weight of expectations, you're not alone. And you don't have to just push through it. I want to introduce you to today's episode sponsor, Catherine Danuzzo, a licensed professional counselor in private practice who offers distance counseling to individuals seeking emotional peace rooted in their Catholic faith. Catherine is also the founder of the apostolate Sacred Heart Mental Wellness, which brings together psychology, Catholic spirituality, and devotion to the most sacred heart of Jesus. Catherine is the author of The Catholic Guide Through Anxiety, a powerful resource helping readers understand what's happening in their minds and hearts through a Catholic lens. And now she has released a brand new companion workbook for the Catholic Guide Through Anxiety, which gently guides you through prayer, journaling, reflection, and real life application. It is perfect for individual use, parish groups, or Bible studies, campus ministries, and spiritual direction. You can search for both books on Amazon right now or visit sacredheartmentalwellness.com to learn more. And if you do purchase through their site instead of on Amazon, you can also use the code CWP15 for 15% off the entire shop, including all of Catherine's workbooks and books. So sacredheartmentalwellness.com with code CWP15 for 15% off her entire shop. And if your parish, ministry, retreat, conference, or college campus is looking for a Catholic speaker who connects faith, psychology, and practical emotional tools, Catherine Nunuzzo is available for speaking engagements nationwide. Again, search The Catholic Guide Through Anxiety on Amazon or visit sacredheartmentalwellness.com and use code CWP15 to learn more, schedule counseling, and bring Catherine to your next event. All of that can be found on her website, sacredheartmentalwellness.com. I love that. I love that these are the goals, having guests over, getting a dog, and that these are what you're helping people work towards. So that made me think a lot about these are really like internal goals. It's rarely like, I want my space to look like this. It's, I want to be able to host. I want to have kids over. I want a dog. So this is very much dealing with inner peace. And I feel this. I know, I'm sure every woman listening to this feels this. When my visual space is cluttered, my mind feels cluttered. If I sit down to work and my table has things on it, I can't focus. I just feel like my mind is a bowl of spaghetti because I'm seeing my environment look like a bowl of spaghetti. So there obviously is a correlation between our external clutter and life and our inner peace. Can you touch a little bit more on that, and especially how we can bring Jesus into that aspect of decluttering?
Well, if we go back to Genesis, the very first thing that God does is he brings order to the universe. So down to a cellular level, we are organized. And I just believe that that's how we are created to live. We enjoy that visually, and sometimes like I'm in Vermont right now and I'm looking out literally over the Killington where I'm going skiing after this, but there's all different trees out my window, which is beautiful. But then there's also beauty in an aspen grove where everything is the same, and so we don't have to have like everything perfect to have peace, but it has to be peaceful for our eye. So what might be peaceful for you might not be for me. So like even in this rental home, I'm thinking like, it's a beautiful home, but I feel like, what am I missing? And I prayed my rosary and I thought, I'm not looking at my Blessed Mother statue. I'm not looking at a crucifix on the wall. I'm not looking at I love books and my blue and white chinoiserie and that all that stuff to me might be chaotic to somebody else, but I find beauty in it.
Yeah.
And I really do think that God, will let you know what is right for you. So, I've been in homes where the woman is so at peace in literally what I would call a hot mess. But that's okay. That's her happy place, right? Like
Yes.
if she can function. But for most of us, it's very practical to have a tidy and organized home. And especially if this is going to air the beginning of January, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are setting healthy eating goals. So what's a very practical way to accomplish that goal is let's get you a nice, tidy, organized kitchen, because there is nothing worse than coming home after work and having to, you want to make a delicious dinner, but there's still dishes from breakfast. There is stuff piled up on the countertops, so that before you can even begin chopping a vegetable, you have 35 minutes of cleanup to do. So that's like the very practical thing to being able to say yes to God. And I do believe that, our body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. And that's one of our goals is we have to keep it healthy. And we're all called to do that. So if you can't create good, healthy meals for yourself or your family, then you've got to like do something within your environment to make that happen. And that's where I love, there's very practical things to being able to say yes to God, right?
I love that. Yeah. And I agree with that. I think that, the external clutter does block us, and like you said, like finances, there's clutter everywhere in our life, block us from ultimately saying yes to that vocation. So let's just get into like the nitty gritty. What are some practical steps for decluttering. What is your process of decluttering? And then I'll probably throw in a few more questions about the process. But tell me your process first. Let's start with that.
Okay, so we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you two different things. The
Okay.
one is if I came to your house and you said like we're gonna do our whole house. Okay, so that's first of all, I want to give your listeners a realistic expectation. It would take me sometimes working a year and a half with somebody to do a whole house. So do not think that, oh, by February, we're going to have a picture perfect house. Because I think that's when we get discouraged and we kind of give up. So just give yourself grace. You didn't get to this point overnight and it's not going to get cleaned up overnight. But
Mm-hmm.
if I knew I was going to work with a woman on her whole home, I start in her wardrobe and we declutter her wardrobe because I feel like when a woman figures out who she is in her wardrobe, she can set the world on fire. Like you wake up every day, you put on an outfit that makes you feel awesome. Even if you're staying home, working from home, or you're a stay-at-home mom, get up and get dressed every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we we kind of work through the house in the order of her day. So we start with your wardrobe, we do your bedroom, we do the bathroom that might be attached there. That's in a perfect world if I were to do a whole house project. Now, let me give you advice for the woman that's just a little bit overwhelmed, doesn't know where to begin. The wardrobe sounds overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Start with the trash. Go in any room of your house and start with the trash. And it might sound weird to think like, I don't have trash piled up in my house. You do. Everybody has trash. It might be the tissues that you dropped in the middle of the night that are on the floor. It might be just a trash can that needs to be emptied. It might be a little bit of floss or something left over from when you open a little package in the bathroom and that little silver thing from the toothpaste is there. There's trash everywhere. There could be dead plant leaves. There could be dead poinsettias by the time you're listening to this podcast episode. There could be a dead Christmas tree, whatever it could be. But there's trash. Start with the trash because there's no emotion. Okay. And it just kind
Mm-hmm.
of gets the ball rolling. Motivation is not going to strike. Okay. We
Mm-hmm.
cannot sit around and wait until July for the perfect scenario for all the stars to align. You just have to force it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So get your body moving. We've all probably done that where you just decide, oh, I'm going to just go through my t-shirts. And before you know it, you look up, the sun is setting, 10 hours have passed, and you're in the middle of a mound of clothing, right? Because once you get going, it's very easy to keep going. So that's what we want to do. We want to trick our brain into getting motivated. So start with the trash, get the body moving. I have episodes where I literally pray the rosary with you and I walk you through the trash and then the tidy. So then after the trash, you're going to tidy up. Okay. So tidying means things have a home. So for instance, it would be the throw blanket gets folded nicely and it gets put on the sofa. The pillows get tidied up, put away. So everything, it's really no thinking. It's literally, this is an item. I know exactly where it belongs. I'm going to go put it there. So your first two steps are really no emotion, no thoughts really required. The third step is what's left. This is your clutter. And you have to decide where is this particular item going to live. And if you don't love it enough to give it a permanent home, then can you let go of it? Okay. A closet, a basement, or an attic, or a shed, or a garage. No, 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 no. That's what I call moving it to the second location. And typically, when things get moved to the second location, they go there to die. So you
Yes.
don't want to do that. Make the decision before it goes to the second location. And your home really should be working for you. Everything in your home should be used at least some point in the year, right? We all have
Mm-hmm.
Christmas decorations. We don't expect to use them every day of the year. Maybe they go to the basement, but we know that come November, December, they will come out of the basement. They'll be
Mm-hmm.
used and then they go back. So your home should be an actively used area there shouldn't be anything that's just sitting there waiting for its moment to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is being used. So that's really
Yep.
the process. You do the trash, you tidy, and then you declutter. And
I
that's
love
it,
that.
and
Yeah.
repeat. Keep
Okay.
doing that.
Yes. So trash is easy. Tidying's easy because things are at home. It's the decluttering part that it's hard for a lot of people. So,
Mm-hmm.
I question for you because obviously the whole point of decluttering is it's things like you said that don't have a home yet. It's, that I don't even know, the new towels you just got or gifts you just got or a new sweater or something like that, and you're not sure yet. Do you ever do like a time will tell bin? I know I've heard the Minimal Mom on YouTube talk about this, where it's one bin and she keeps it small, where if she's not sure if she's going to use it within the year, she puts it in that bin. And then every couple months she goes through the bin. And if it hasn't been used in a year, it goes out. And then if you do use it, obviously when you pull it out of the bin, you find a home for it. Do you ever do something like that? Or do you have a strategy for people who they really don't know if it's something they're going to use within the year, but they don't want to get rid of it just yet because they're worried about needing it, within the year?
Okay. So there's two parts to what you asked me. The one is, this is where our faith comes in, especially when it comes to moms with kid stuff, whether it be clothing or toys or whatever. God will provide it for you if and when you ever need it. And you have to trust that he will. And you can quiz yourself by going onto Facebook and just saying, hey guys, I need a size 4T orange t-shirt by Tuesday. I guarantee somebody within your Facebook friends will provide a t-shirt for you. Like, you can test it with silly things like that. But you have to trust that if he really wants you to have it, you're going to have it. Maybe it would be that someone would lend it to you. You don't need to own it, right? Things like that. But yes, I do. I just talked to a mom the other day. I did coaching with her, and we were talking about toys. And if you're afraid, bag them up in black trash bags and put them either in your trunk or somewhere, and let the kids ask for it.
Yes.
And if they don't, then you can safely get rid of it. Most times, if you were to tidy their playroom or whatever while they're at school, I've never seen a kid not come home and dance and be just such a free bird in a beautiful space, right? And one of the things I said the other day to this mom was, if you were researching preschools, would you let your child go to a preschool where it was just stuff everywhere? You would think, this teacher can't control her classroom. There's no way I want my child here. And yet that's exactly what our homes are. Our homes are so cluttered with toys and things that we're overwhelming our kids. And if you're overwhelmed, imagine what a little toddler is feeling.
Yep.
And so when you tidy and your home is tidy and everything has a home, even children down to about 2 years old roughly know where things belong. Like, if I came to your home, I don't know how old your kids are, but if I came to your home and I said, where does mommy keep the markers that you're not allowed to have? They would probably say, oh, they're up in that cabinet, right?
Yes.
They know where this stuff is. Where does mommy keep the cookie cutters? And they probably would be able to tell you, right? Like, kids know. And one of the hardest things about having kids is just expecting them to keep their rooms tidy in a way that we want it tidied when we haven't taught them how to do that. And so when everything has a home, you can go into their play area and say, okay, all the trucks need to get picked up and put in here. If you just say to a kid, go clean your room, they're going to stand there and be paralyzed, right? With indecision, just like any adult is. So if you say, go make your bed, go put your shoes in the bin, you have to kind of give them specific instructions. And we need that too.
Yes.
It's like, even when I was packing for this trip, I remember I got a message from the Holy Spirit, like, don't forget your charger. And I thought, oh my gosh. And I get very distracted. So I literally, this is an ADHD trick. If you have ADHD listeners, say it out loud. So I literally went from my kitchen to my bedroom the whole time saying charger, 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 because it kind of keeps you focused. A lot of people lose focus. And when I work with some people in their homes, that's a lot of my job, is like, okay, go run this to the room where it belongs, but come back to me. And then I'll be sitting there and I think, now where did she go?
Yeah.
And then I'll have to go find the homeowner and say, come back to me. So, if you struggle with like going to a room and forgetting why you went in there, just say things out loud, and it does help you.
I love that tip. I struggle with that, and I don't think I have ADHD, so that's a really good tip. I'm gonna have to start doing that. Or like, I'll be going on my phone to do something and I'll totally forget what I've done. So now I'm going to try saying things out loud. I like that.
Yeah. The phone's a big one. The phone is a big one. It's like, okay, wait, I got on this phone to do something. And now
Yes,
all of a
what did I
sudden
do?
I'm like scrolling and it's like,
It's
check
bad.
that email.
Yep.
It is. It's
It's
too
really bad.
much.
It is too
It's
much.
too
I
much
know.
going
I
on.
know. That's a good, I'm gonna have to try that tip. That's really good. I like how you brought up even kid things. Trust the Lord that if you're supposed to have it, you will need it. This is
Hmm.
probably going to shock some people. So my kids are 3 and 1.5, and we are definitely not done growing our family, whether biologically or through adoption or foster. We're not done growing our family. I can guarantee you that. But we got rid of our crib and almost all of our baby things. We have a couple bins of like clothes, but we got rid of all of our big stuff like that because
Hmm.
we live in a tiny apartment and we don't have anywhere to store it. And we weren't just going to leave a crib up for who knows how long, until we grow our family again with a newborn. I'm like, we're not going to do that. We're going to live in our space. And honestly, that crib had been through multiple moves. As soon as we disassembled it, it was stripped because it had been through so many moves anyway. And we're like, you know what? A crib is something that is so easy to come by. If we were to post in a Facebook group, I'm sure someone has a crib they would be giving away for free or at least like, $20. Like people have cribs. We can get a crib for
Hmm.
cheap when the time comes. But like getting rid of something, it hurt because it was like, oh, this is what my babies slept in. But at the same time, it's so big and it takes up so much space and we aren't using it and we have nowhere to put it. So we made that decision. We're like, this is something we can come by again when the time comes that we will need a crib. And so
Yeah.
I just feel like people hold on to things that like a crib or, especially like you said, baby things, even if they're not done growing their family. Cause like I said, I can guarantee we're not. I don't know which way, whether it's biological or adoption, but we're not done growing our family. But we are not holding on to that stuff either until when that time comes again. We
Hmm.
will just like what we did when we had our first baby, we will figure out what we need. And the more you have, you realize you really don't need much at all. So like honestly, you just
Yes.
pretty much need a crib and diapers, and that's probably good. But yeah, I mean, I feel like people just hold on to things for when that day comes. For some people, that day might never come, and then you're just holding on to it forever. And even if that day does come, a lot of the time you can get it again secondhand or borrowed, like you said, and then you don't have to worry about storing it either. That would be really nice to
Hmm.
just borrow a crib or something like that. And so I would encourage people to just take that leap of faith and just trust that, like you said, when the time comes, if we need this again, the Lord will provide it. And I think doing that has been the hardest part for me in decluttering our life is getting rid of those big things. I keep using the crib as an example. There's a few other things, but those big things that are a little sentimental, but they take up a lot of space in your life and you're not sure when you're going to use them again, if ever. I really like that you said trust the Lord in that because it's a big leap of faith to take to get rid of those things, but it brings so much peace to your life to not have a crib. We have like I said, a tiny apartment, and a crib takes up a lot of square footage in a small space. And so it just feels better to not have that anymore. So I really would encourage people to, like you said, trust the Lord and all of that. Okay, so one more question for you, and this one is going to probably require a couple different answers. So we have listeners of all different walks of life. We have single women of all ages. We have married women. We have moms. We have grandmas. Women in all walks of life. What is something practical that women can do today or at Monday or whatever, whenever they want to start this process in their lives of decluttering a little bit at a time? What is something practical they can do to take that first step other than the trash? We'll just like assume that they've done the trash and put things away that already have a home. What is a practical decluttering specifically step that they can take?
I think start with the mindset. And I think the mindset is none of it is ours, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
all of this. Even our children are only ours on loan from God.
Yeah.
Everything is ours to manage, right? And how are you managing the gifts that He has given you? So start with prayer and say, what do you want me to do with this home? Do you want me to entertain people? Do you want me to have a big family? Like we went from a 1,500 square foot home to I think a 6,500 square foot home.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I know, and I felt weird that it was too big for a Catholic family. So I went to my pastor and I said, what do you think about this big old house that we're thinking about buying? And he said, fill it with children and use it for the greater glory of God. And
Aw.
because we've been able to host up to 30 college kids for a weekend from Penn State, My husband does men's groups on the patio. I would love to run a retreat sometime out of my home, but like real and we have a bedroom that my mother is probably going to come and live with us one day. So like just ask God, what do you want me to do today or this season with all
Mm-hmm.
that you have given me? Okay. Maybe he is calling you to a whole different field and that requires you to get out of debt. So I would say before you do anything, start with prayer and be very, very open to the answer that you get. It might be a nagging feeling in your head of like, oh, I got to quit this job, right? I don't like this job, but I don't have so then, if it's finances holding you back, then start with the budget. If it's
Mm-hmm.
physical stuff, then start with decluttering. Okay. Um, there's all sorts of answers to whatever God is going to ask you to do. But our biggest thing is being able to say yes. And there's nothing that's going to give you more adventure in life than saying yes to God. And then all this other stuff is just temporary. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let it go. Let it all go. Everything from your reputation to your money to your stuff, it's all temporary.
Mm-hmm.
So just really free yourself up to say yes to God, and you're going to have the most incredible life ever because it's the one that was custom made for you. So
Mm.
start with prayer and then figure out the next step from what that answer to prayer is, whether it be you need to get your finances in order, you need to get your health in order, you need to get your house in order, you need to get your marriage in order, whatever it is that God tells you to do, start doing it.
I love that. That is so good, so true. Something I'm working on, but it feels, like you said, more joyful. It's the greatest adventure when you give that yes, even when it's not what you thought it was supposed to be. I love that. And you've mentioned finances a few times, so I'm going to throw this out there. 2 episodes ago, we actually interviewed Amanda Texera from Wallet Win, and we talked
Yes.
all about budgeting and debt and all of that. So that's 2 episodes ago. That's episode 36. This is episode 38. So if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, I should, do money stuff, go check that one out 2 episodes ago. But Gina, this was so helpful. I really appreciate it. And I think this is such a great way for people to start their new year. Where can people find you and connect with you if they would like to dive deeper into decluttering?
So the podcast is called Pruning to Prosper. And I have a new episode every Wednesday, and all the information would be in my show notes. So you can join our private Facebook group, and I have a monthly newsletter. And once a month, I do a free and live we'll pray the rosary, and then we'll do whatever the topic is for that month. So this past month, we tried to keep the topic to decluttering areas for hosting people and that sort of thing. So then come January and February, I'm going to have a different theme every month. So it might be the kitchen. I haven't really worked out yet where I'm going to start in the new year, but I'm thinking kitchen because people are so health conscious at the beginning of the year. So I
Yeah.
think we're going to focus on decluttering the kitchen. So then I would have my live and people can come, they meet other like-minded women, and then we can share some tips and tricks and struggles with our kitchen, stuff like that.
Oh,
So,
I love that.
and and so then my calendar link to book a one-on-one is also in my show notes and all that. And
Perfect. Well,
that's
thank
it.
you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And that sounds so fun. So go check that out. That's totally free for everyone, too. I will link that in the show notes as well so people can grab that right from here. Thank you again, Gina, for being here. And also, thank you so much to Mangio Arts and Sacred Heart Mental Wellness for sponsoring this episode. If you guys liked it, please leave us a 5-star review. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and leave us a comment review as well. That really helps boost the show in the algorithm, get us out to new Catholic women. And I just want to thank you all again so much for being here. You guys are what makes this show possible, and I'm just so thankful for you all. So happy 2026, and this is going to be a great year for the show and I'm just praying for all of you guys as listeners and for all of our guests as well that 2026 is a blessed year. See you guys in 2 weeks.